Welcome back, my amazing family. Before we continue with part two of this story, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been watching, commenting, liking, and sharing my stories. Your love and support mean the world to me. You all keep this channel alive. Before we dive in, tell me in the comment section where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let's continue with part two. Things are about to get even more interesting. My husband's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. No words came out. Cynthia finally seemed to notice me standing there. She looked me up and down, her smile never wavering, but her eyes turned cold. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there. And you are?" Before I could answer, my husband grabbed Cynthia's arm. "Can I talk to you for a minute, privately?" "Kenneth!" I shouted his name, my voice cutting through his panic like a knife. "Introduce me to your friend." He looked at me with desperation in his eyes. "Rosemary, please, not here." "Rosemary?" Cynthia's eyes widened. "Wait, you're the wife?" The word "the" hit me like a slap. Not his wife, not Kenneth's wife, just the wife. Like I was some unfortunate obstacle to be dealt with. "Yes," I said, lifting my chin. "I'm Kenneth's wife. We've been married for 5 years." Cynthia laughed. Actually laughed. It was a high, tinkling sound that made people at nearby tables turn to look at us. "Oh my God, Kenneth, you actually brought her after everything we talked about? I thought you said..." "Cynthia," Kenneth's voice was sharp and desperate. "Stop talking, right now." But it was too late. The words were already out there, hanging in the air between us like poison. "What did he say?" I asked, stepping closer to Cynthia. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "What did my husband tell you about me?" Cynthia looked at Kenneth, then back at me. For a second, I thought she might actually feel bad about what she was doing. But then she smiled again, and I knew she was enjoying this. "He said you weren't coming. He said you were..." How did you put it, Kenneth? "Not sophisticated enough for this kind of event?" She turned to him. "Those were your words, weren't they?" People were definitely staring now. I could feel their eyes on us, could hear the whisper starting to spread across the ballroom. Kenneth grabbed my arm, his fingers digging in too tight. "We're leaving. Now. Get your hand off me." My voice was low but firm. "Rosemary, I'm warning you." "Warning me? Warning me?" My voice rose, and I didn't care anymore who heard. "You left me at home, told everyone I was sick, and now I find out you've been talking to your ex-girlfriend, talking about me behind my back. What exactly are you warning me about, Kenneth?" "It's not what you think." "Then what is it? Explain it to me, right here, right now. Tell me what's going on." Kenneth's eyes darted around the room. More people had stopped dancing. The band was still playing, but the energy in the room had shifted. Everyone was watching us now. Mr. Adebayo appeared beside us, his face concerned. "Is everything all right here?" "Everything is fine, sir," Kenneth said quickly, plastering on a fake smile. "Just a small misunderstanding. We were just leaving." "We're not leaving," I said firmly. "Mr. Adebayo, thank you for inviting us to your wedding. It's beautiful." "Thank you, Mrs. Okonkwo." He looked at Kenneth with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Kenneth, perhaps you should take your wife to your table. The bride and I will be doing our first dance soon." It wasn't really a suggestion. It was a command from a boss to his employee. Kenneth nodded stiffly. "Yes, sir. Of course." Cynthia touched Kenneth's arm again. "Call me later," she whispered, but I heard it. As we walked to Kenneth's table, I could feel hundreds of eyes following us. Kenneth's colleagues were all sitting together, 5 other couples, at a large round table. They all looked up as we approached, their faces showing various levels of surprise and curiosity. "Everyone," Kenneth said through gritted teeth, "this is my wife, Rosemary." Your wife? A woman in a blue dress looked confused. But you said she was sick. I got better, I said, smiling sweetly as I took an empty seat. The table went silent. Awkward glances were exchanged. Someone coughed. Then a kind-looking older man extended his hand to me. I'm Mr. Johnson, from accounting. It's nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Okonkwo. Kenneth talks about you sometimes. Does he? I shook his hand. That's interesting, because he didn't talk about me tonight at all. Mr. Johnson's wife, a plump woman with gentle eyes, squeezed my hand. That dress is absolutely gorgeous. You look stunning. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. Her kindness made tears prick at my eyes, but I blinked them away. Kenneth sat down beside me, his body rigid with tension. He leaned close and hissed in my ear. What are you doing here? You're ruining everything. I'm being your wife, I whispered back. The thing you should have let me do in the first place. We'll talk about this at home. No, we'll talk about it now. Who is Cynthia to you? Nobody, she's nobody. Liars go to hell, Kenneth. Even in the Bible, God hates a lying tongue. He flinched at that. Kenneth had grown up in a very religious home, and even though he didn't go to church much anymore, he still feared God's judgment. She's just an old friend. Old friends don't call each other darling. Old friends don't make secret phone calls. Before Kenneth could respond, the music changed. Mr. Adebayo and his new wife Chioma took to the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife. Everyone's attention shifted to them, and I was grateful for the distraction. They looked so happy, so in love. Chioma was absolutely beautiful in her white wedding dress, and the way Mr. Adebayo looked at her like she was the only person in the world made my heart ache. Kenneth had never looked at me like that, not even on our wedding day. As I watched them dance, something inside me broke. Not in a sad way, but in a freeing way. Like chains I didn't even know I was wearing suddenly snapped and fell away. I didn't love Kenneth anymore. Maybe I had loved him once, 5 years ago when we got married. But that love had died slowly over the years, healed by 1,000 small cruelties, 1,000 moments where he made me feel small and worthless. Tonight was just the final nail in the coffin. The first dance ended, and the DJ invited everyone to join the couple on the dance floor. People started getting up, and the energy in the room lifted again. Mrs. Johnson leaned across the table. Mrs. Okonkwo, would you like some wine? The waiters are bringing drinks around. Yes, please. Thank you. Kenneth stood up abruptly. I need to use the bathroom. I watched him walk away, and I noticed he didn't go toward the bathrooms. He went toward the exit, pulling out his phone. Excuse me, I said to the table. I'll be right back. I followed Kenneth, keeping my distance. He went out into the hallway, and I slipped out behind him, hiding behind a large flower arrangement. He was talking on the phone, his voice low and urgent. I know. I didn't think she would actually show up. No, Cynthia, you can't say anything else. Just leave it alone. Because she's still my wife, that's why. I don't know what I'm going to do. Look, when this divorce is final, then we can divorce? The word hit me like a physical blow. Be together properly. But right now, I need you to keep quiet about everything. Yes, I still care about you. You know that. I'll call you tomorrow. I have to go. He hung up and stood there for a moment, running his hands over his face. I stepped out from behind the flowers. Divorce? My voice was shaking now, but not with sadness, with rage. Pure, burning rage. It's not. It's complicated. How long? I demanded. How long have you been seeing her? I'm not seeing her. We're just talking. How long? 6 months, he shouted, then quieter. 6 months. We ran into each other at a company event and we started talking again, and things happened. Things happened, I repeated numbly. What things, Kenneth? What exactly happened? He looked away. Nothing physical. I swear, we've just been talking, making plans for the future. A future without me. Rosemary, you have to understand, we're not happy. We haven't been happy for a long time. So instead of talking to me, your wife, you made secret plans to leave me. You called your ex-girlfriend and talked about me like I was some problem you needed to solve. You're making this sound worse than it is. Worse? Worse? I was shouting now and I didn't care who heard. You left me at home because you said I was too ugly to come to this wedding. But that wasn't really why, was it? You didn't want me here because she was going to be here. You wanted to be with Cynthia, to show her off, to pretend you weren't married. That's not. And let me guess, I continued, the pieces falling into place. You've been taking money from our accounts, haven't you? All those times you said you needed extra for work expenses, you were spending it on her. Kenneth's silence was answer enough. I laughed, but it was a bitter sound. How much, Kenneth? How much of our money I helped earn with my sewing did you spend on your girlfriend? She's not my girlfriend. How much? I don't know. Maybe 50,000 over the past few months, but I was going to pay it back. 50,000 naira while I was wearing old clothes and eating one meal a day to save money, while I was sewing late into the night to help pay our rent, while I was living in darkness during power cuts because we couldn't afford to put fuel in the generator. He'd been spending our money on another woman. Something inside me snapped. I pulled off my wedding ring, the simple gold band that had once meant everything to me, and I threw it at him. It bounced off his chest and clattered to the floor. We're done, I said. This marriage is over. Rosemary, wait. No, I'm done waiting. I'm done being your convenient wife at home while you plan your perfect life with someone else. I'm done being told I'm not good enough, not pretty enough, not sophisticated enough. I'm done. I turned to walk away, but Kenneth grabbed my arm again, harder this time. You can't just leave me, he said, and there was real fear in his eyes now. What will people think? What will my family say? I looked down at his hand on my arm, then up at his face. Get your hand off me. Not until you listen. I said, get your hand off me. I shoved him hard. Kenneth stumbled backward, shocked. He'd never seen me stand up to him like this before. Mrs. Okonkwo, we both turned. Mr. Adebayo was standing at the entrance to the hallway, and he was not alone. 3 other men were with him, all well-dressed, important-looking people. Is there a problem here? Mr. Adebayo asked, his voice cold as he looked at Kenneth. Kenneth immediately let go of my arm and stepped back. No, sir, no problem. Just a marital disagreement. Mr. Adebayo walked closer, studying Kenneth's face, then mine. Mr. Okonkwo, I believe you should take a walk. Cool down. These gentlemen and I need to speak with your wife. My wife? Why do you need to? That wasn't a request, Mr. Okonkwo. It was an instruction. Go. Kenneth looked between us, confused and afraid, but he obeyed. He walked past us down the hallway and disappeared around the corner. I stood there, my heart pounding, not knowing what was about to happen. Mr. Adebayo smiled at me, a genuine, warm smile. Mrs. Okonkwo, first, let me apologize for the drama at my wedding. But second, I'd like to introduce you to some friends of mine. He gestured to the 3 men. This is Mr. Oladele, who owns a chain of fashion boutiques across Lagos. This is Mr. Taiwo, who runs the biggest textile import company in Nigeria. And this is Chief Adeyemi, who invests in small businesses. I was confused. Why was he introducing me to these people? Mr. Oladele stepped forward. Mrs. Okonkwo, Mr. Adebayo tells me you're a seamstress. Is that correct? I, yes, sir. I sew clothes. Just small jobs. Nothing special. That dress you're wearing, Mr. Taiwo interrupted. Did you make it? No, sir. I bought it at Balogo Market. The one you came in wearing originally. The green one with the beading on the neckline. Did you make that? How did he know about my green dress? I hadn't worn it inside the ballroom. Mr. Okonkwo showed us a photo earlier, Mr. Adebayo explained. He was explaining why his wife couldn't attend. He showed us the dress and said, well, it doesn't matter what he said. But I noticed the craftsmanship, that beading, the way the lace was cut, that was professional work. Yes, sir, I made it. The three men exchanged glances. Mrs. Okonkwo, Chief Adeyemi said, how would you like to stop doing small sewing jobs and start your own fashion line? I stared at him, sure I had heard wrong. I'm sorry, what? We're investors. We look for talent and help it grow. That green dress showed real skill. And the way you carry yourself tonight, despite everything. He shook his head. You have something special. We'd like to help you build a business. A real business. I couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. But I don't have money. I don't have a shop or equipment. Or that's what investors are for, Mr. Oladele said with a smile. We provide the capital. You provide the talent and the work. If you're interested, we can set up a meeting next week to discuss details. Mr. Adebayo pulled out a business card and handed it to me. This has my personal number. Call me Monday morning. We'll get you started. I looked down at the card in my hand and suddenly tears were streaming down my face. I don't understand. Why would you help me? Mr. Adebayo's face grew serious. Mrs. Okonkwo, I've known Kenneth for 3 years. He's good at his job, but I've watched him treat people badly when he thinks no one important is watching. Tonight, I heard him on the phone with that woman, planning to divorce you while spending your money on her. And earlier, he showed us your photo and laughed about how you weren't good enough to attend my wedding. His eyes hardened. I don't like bullies, and I don't like men who break their wives down instead of building them up. You deserve better. So yes, we're going to help you build a business. We're going to help you become independent. And then you can decide what you want to do about your marriage. I was sobbing now, ugly crying in front of these important men, but I couldn't stop. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you so much. Don't thank us yet, Mr. Taiwo said kindly. Thank us when you're successful. Now, let's go back inside. It's my turn to dance with the bride, and I don't want to miss it. They walked back toward the ballroom, but Mr. Adebayo lingered for a moment. Mrs. Okonkwo, one more thing. On Monday morning, Kenneth will be called into my office. He will be informed that his services are no longer required at Adebayo Holdings. You're firing him? I'm firing him. A man who treats his wife the way he treated you tonight is not someone I want representing my company. He paused. I hope that doesn't upset you. I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. No, sir. It doesn't upset me at all. He nodded and walked away. I stood alone in that hallway, holding a business card that might change my entire life. And I realized something important. Sometimes, the worst moments lead to the best blessings. Sometimes, you have to be broken down completely before you can be built back up properly. And sometimes, God closes one door just so he can open a better one. I wiped my tears, fixed my makeup using my phone camera, and walked back into that ballroom with my head held high. Kenneth was sitting at the table, looking miserable and confused. I walked right past him. I walked onto the dance floor, where people were celebrating and laughing and living their best lives. And for the first time in 5 years, I joined them. 3 months later, I stood in my own fashion studio, a bright, airy space in Lekki. Phase 1 with 3 sewing machines, 2 assistants, and racks full of beautiful fabrics in every color imaginable. My phone rang. It was Patience. Rose, did you see it? Are you watching the news? What news? Turn on Channels TV right now. I grabbed the remote and switched on the small television in my studio. My jaw dropped. There on the screen was my dress, the burgundy one I had worn to the wedding, being modeled at Lagos Fashion Week. And the reporter was talking about Emmy, Rosemary Okonkwo, the rising star of Nigerian fashion, debuted her collection today to massive applause. Her designs have been praised for their elegance and accessibility. Mrs. Okonkwo says her goal is to make every woman feel beautiful, regardless of size or budget. I sat down slowly, tears filling my eyes. In 3 months, everything had changed. True to their word, Mr. Adebayo and his friends had invested in my business. They'd helped me rent this studio, buy equipment, and hire help. Chief Adeyemi had connected me with fabric suppliers who gave me good prices. Mr. Oladele had introduced me to fashion editors and bloggers. But the work that had been all mine, I'd worked 16-hour days designing, sewing, building a collection. I'd poured all my pain, all my anger, all my hope into every stitch. And now, people were actually buying my clothes. Real customers. Women who saw my designs online and wanted to wear them. I had money in the bank, my own money, that no one could take from me. I had respect. I had dignity. I had purpose. The door to my studio opened, and my lawyer, Mrs. Adejoke, walked in with a bright smile. Rosemary, I have good news. The divorce papers are finalized. You're officially a free woman. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd be holding. It's really over? It's over. Kenneth signed everything yesterday. He didn't even fight for anything. I think he was too ashamed after losing his job and having Cynthia dump him when she found out he was broke. I almost felt sorry for Kenneth. Almost. After Mr. Adebayo fired him, Kenneth had gone to Cynthia expecting sympathy. Instead, she told him she wasn't interested in a jobless man with no prospects. She'd only been with him because she thought he was moving up in the world. Kenneth had come to me, begging for another chance. He'd cried and said he was sorry, that he'd been a fool, that he loved me. But I'd looked at him and felt nothing. No love, no hate, not even pity, just nothing. I want a divorce, I told him calmly. And now, 3 months later, I had it. So what happens now? Mrs. Adejoke asked. What's next for the famous Rosemary Okonkwo? I looked around my studio at the beautiful fabrics, at my sketches pinned to the walls, at the future I was building with my own 2 hands. Now I keep working. I have orders to fill, designs to create, dreams to chase. Mrs. Adejoke squeezed my shoulder. You're going to be just fine, Rosemary. Better than fine. You're going to be extraordinary. After she left, I sat alone in my studio, thinking about that night at the wedding. The night Kenneth had said I was too ugly to attend. The night that had broken my heart but somehow saved my life. If he hadn't rejected me, I would never have found the courage to fight back. If I hadn't shown up to that wedding alone, Mr. Adebayo would never have noticed my work. If I hadn't stood up for myself in that hallway, I would still be in that small apartment, making myself small, believing I wasn't good enough. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Patience. I'm so proud of you, sis. You're proof that God doesn't make mistakes. He makes queens. I smiled and texted back. Come by the studio tomorrow. I'm designing your wedding dress, remember? Yes. Patience was getting married next month to a wonderful man who treated her like the treasure she was. And I was making her dress the most beautiful creation I'd ever sewn. As the sun set over Lagos, casting golden lights through my studio windows, I thought about everything I'd learned. I learned that your worth isn't determined by what other people think of you. I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. I learned that the woman in the mirror, with her curves, her dark spots, her imperfections, she was enough. She was always enough. And I learned that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time and then walk away with your head held high. Kenneth had called me too ugly for his world, but I'd built my own world, a world where beauty meant strength, courage, and self love, a world where I made the rules. And in my world, I wasn't just beautiful, I was unstoppable. 6 months after the wedding, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Mrs. Okonkwo, this is Sandra from Today's Woman magazine. We'd like to feature you in our next issue, Women Who Rose from the Ashes. Would you be interested? I looked at the framed photo on my desk, the only picture I'd kept from that night. It was me in the burgundy dress, standing tall in the hotel hallway, my eyes fierce and determined. That woman had walked through fire and come out forged in steel. Yes, I said, smiling. I'd be honored. Because my story wasn't about a man who broke me. It was about a woman who broke free. And that's a story worth telling. Sometimes rejection is God's protection. Sometimes the door that closes in your face is just God's way of pointing you toward the window He opened for you all along. And sometimes the person who calls you ugly is just revealing their own blindness because they could never see the queen that you always were. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories about love, family, and life lessons. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.